All right. Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have kind of a special edition Pocket Change Market Report. And in this video, we're going to focus on the most valuable Lincoln cents of the last 25 years. So these coins best represent the kind of like the market moving type of issues that a lot of people want. They're becoming incredibly scarce in nice condition, but some of these coins might actually represent some rare releases by the U.S. Mint that you guys need to know about. So I wanted to take some time because we are a quarter of the way through this century, and that is incredible. Just how quickly things evolve, things change since the year 2000. I'm an 80s and 90s baby. So considering the fact that we were already 25 years into this new millennium, doesn't exactly make it new at all. But we have seen a lot of epic coins being injected out into not only the circulation, but into the marketplace. And folks have really embraced these coins as being kind of like the heavy hitters of this millennium. So we're going to talk about the most relevant coins, Lincoln cents, and we'll do others later on, like nickels and dimes and all that. We'll probably do one whole other video dedicated to the rest, the best of the rest, I guess you could say. But Lincoln cents is by far the most widely collected series, not only here stateside, but all across the globe. A lot of people really do endear themselves to this little 1 cent coin that may be going away here really soon. There's a lot of buzz, a lot of talk. The president even making an executive order back on Super Bowl Sunday to essentially axe the Lincoln cent, and it really scared a few collectors out there to the point where they began investing into these coins. Now, these particular coins we're going to talk about here today have a lot of popularity that goes, all the way back since their release. So the first one that I want to talk about is the 2009, what we call the 100-year anniversary series of coins. And the reason why that this one is on the list is real simple. These have, and nobody really has talked about this, they have some of the lowest mintage of any other Lincoln cent going all the way back to the year 2000. As a matter of fact, if we went back to the year 2000 to put it into perspective, 2000 2000 Philadelphia Lincoln Memorial cents, they made 5.5 billion of those coins. That's just one mint. 2000D, get this, the Denver minted 2000s, they produced 8.7, nearly 8.8 billion of those particular coins. Now, obviously the year 2000 to the year 2009, there's a lot of room there. So if we went to the year before the release of the 100-year anniversary of these coins, where they released 4 different reverses, this has become kind of like a sleeper hit that now all of a sudden that these coins have exploded out into the marketplace. If we went to 2008, the year before the release of the 100-year anniversary sets, 2008 P minted Lincoln cents, 2.5 billion. Yes, a considerably less number compared to the year 2000, but it's still a lot of coins, 2.5 billion. The Denver examples, they ended up producing 2.8 billion. So altogether, we're talking nearly 5 billion coins between the 2008 Phillies and the Denvers. Now, here's where things get really interesting. For whatever reason, the 100-year anniversary, as you can see, we have all the designs. We have the PND mint right on screen. This is actually someone's eBay listing that has all the coins all splayed out really nicely for us to look at. So starting at the top, the log cabin, they call this one the birth and early childhood. This was the first release. Now, they released these 4 coins all throughout the year in 2009. They didn't just dump all the designs out in one shot. But get this, that birth and early childhood with the log cabin, the mintages are insanely low. For the Philadelphia issue of the log cabin, 284,400,000. Again, compared to the 2008 Philadelphia at 2.4 billion, that is roughly 10% of the previous year's issue for Philadelphia. Now, considering that they did release 4 different designs, in its totality, the number is a few billion, sure, which tells you everything that you need to know because each individual issue has a really low mintage number. So getting back to the log cabin, the Denver version of that coin, they had produced 350,400,000. So both issues together, PND Mint, coming in at about 620 million. That's not a lot at all for a pretty significant anniversary event. The centennial of the beginning of one of the most popular coins to be collected today is such a small, low number. And I just don't understand why. And a lot of you that are out there searching for these and change, you're going to find that there are not too many really nice condition examples of these coins out there unless you got lucky and someone dumped in a collection into circulation. Now, the next issue that we're going to talk about is going to be Lincoln sitting on the log. They call that one the Formative Years. That's actually one of the more popular designs because of the various different types of varieties and errors that can be found on that coin. As of today, there are well over 100 double-to-die reverses of that particular coin, which makes it one of the biggest and most funnest chases that you will ever come across. So for the Philadelphia coin, they made $276 million. Again, a very small number compared to previous years. The Denver Mint, they had made $363,600,000. Coming up next, we have the Professional Life. The seller of these coins actually did a little mix-up there. So it actually has Lincoln standing in front of what looks to be the, I don't know if that's the Capitol building, but in any event, one of those buildings there, when he first began to go into, politics full time, the Philadelphia coin, they had made $316 million. And then the Denver Mint Professional Life, $336 million. Again, very small numbers. But the one that will beat them all out, and it's the ultimate sleeper coin, is going to be the Presidency, where it has the White House that's being built right there on the reverse. So this one's quite interesting. The Philadelphia issue, they had only made $129,600,000. Is it just me, or that's paltry? That's nothing. I don't know what they were thinking when they were minting these, where they barely made any of these. 2009 Denver Presidencies, they had made $198 million. Now, I have a theory as to why they had produced so few of these. Okay, if we looked at the Jefferson nickel, it's been for the longest time one of the modern key dates. They barely made enough of those. This was a time where the country was going into a very deep recession. A huge mortgage crisis. People are losing their homes left and right. They're losing their cars left and right. People losing their jobs. It was kind of a crazy time in life, 2009. So, was this considered to be a very unfortunate release back in 2009? I would say so, just based off of the financial circumstances that were going around the world at that time. Now, because of that, because of the low numbers and everything kind of absorbed into the collectability of the coins, these things have a lot of value. And if you're lucky enough to come across sealed U.S. Mint roll sets of these, I would say snag them up, as quickly as you can. We actually had a few rolls of these that we had sold on Whatnot here recently, and they went really well. And people understand the significance of these coins. So here's the US Mint released full sets, LP1, LP2, 3s, and 4s. P&D, $105, which, that's 8 rolls. That's end up being what? $13 a roll. That's quite high compared to other dates of Lincoln Cents during the last 25 years. And people really do covet the full sets when they're together. People tend to pay up for those. But you can see as we scroll down, the listings of various rolls of these coins. Another big one is the proof sets, where they had returned to the old copper composition before 1982, and they revisited it specifically for the proof release of the 4 coins. They're all crafted in this beautiful copper composition, as they should be. Those right now are commanding right around $20. They are highly collectible, and the mintages on them are not really that low. They're coming in around 2.5 to 3 million each. Where other later dates, we're talking about 1.5 million. So they did produce enough of the proof coins to fulfill demand, but I don't think not nearly enough. But you can see the market trending. So some of the rolls selling as high as $16 to $20 per, which seems about right. These things can get really, really pricey right away. But as you can see, the market for these in any conceivable kind of combination, whether they're singular coins, rolls, you name it, they have a lot of liquidity. And I'm thinking, and this is not financial advice, that these particular coins are going to age very well over the course of the next decade or two. Especially when we're beginning to see less and less and less of these coins in much higher states of preservation coming right out of change. And God forbid, knock on wood, that the government and Congress decides to completely do away with the Lincoln Cent. That is going to positively impact the value of these coins to a whole other level that is going to be unseen. So I thought I'd let you know. People are scoring deals on full boxed up bankrolls. These are definitely ones to be on the lookout for. Full bank boxes of 2009 formative years, Philadelphia's, have been commanding about $500-$600. That's the more expensive one, again, primarily because of the varieties that are coming out of that. Now, all of the sales I'm showing you are within the last 90 days, so these are incredibly up to date to the 2025 market standard that we're showing you specifically in this video. But as you can see, none of this is really cheap unless you're buying like 1 or 2 coins individually. But the rolls have been commanding. You're not going to find generally rolls for under $10 a piece unless you get lucky and say like this guy right here had to buy it now with free shipping and just totally misunderstood the market. You're going to see that those particular rolls are going to command a much more healthier figure for them. All right. So some more notable singular sales of the 2009 series, come in the way of graded. Keeping in mind that in 2009, they did release these 4 coins into mint sets. And those particular mint sets in 2009 were still the satin finish coins. They were nothing like the regular business strikes that you and I know, coins that were made and intended for general circulation. So they graded out really high, 69s and 70s. Now, a full 69 set sold March 27th for $839. That's for all 8 coins, both P and D mint, in the satin finish. Someone also was selling 35 bankrolls for $500. That's a rather healthy amount of money. But yeah, graded examples, they tend to fall at some of the higher levels of grades, right around $500, which is kind of a big deal. And these are NGC graded pieces that we've been seeing a lot more of Whereas, maybe Mid-State 68 Reds and PCGS slabs command probably double that kind of money. So, I just thought I'd let you know that, graded coins have a pretty good, they have a pretty good kind of lifespan to them. And they always have, ever since these things were released. And you can see that there's a lot of desirability for full bank boxes as well. We see those in here. Low pop coins, commanding some pretty healthy amounts of numbers. Price-wise, for the Business Strike Uncirculated, it's not the satin finish from the mid sets. There's pretty cool 4-coin sets like in this Proof 70 NGC. I've actually had the pleasure of owning one of those at one point in my life. So yeah, I mean, this is a coin series that was released during a very unfortunate time, which kind of helped out its collectability. 16 years later, when we look back, we're like, holy crap, they didn't mint a lot of these, in every conceivable type. So this is something that even today, while the prices seem a little bit inflated for what they are, there's still some deals to be had out there. So definitely something to keep an eye out on. All right, continuing this on, we have a few others that I want to highlight. The next one that you guys know very well about are the single year release 2019 West Point Lincoln Cents. They made a regular proof version. They made a reverse proof that was available when you bought the silver proof set from the mint, and then the uncirculated 2019 West Point that you had to buy the mint set to obtain. This was kind of a big deal, and that was really the only reason why that people were buying those particular sets in 2019, was to be able to have a chance to acquire was essentially a 1-year, first time ever produced at the West Point Mint Lincoln Cent, and they had 3 different finishes. So this is all 3 coins that you see here that sold for $122, which is roughly about $40 per coin. Today's market, that seems about right, but I have seen these go up a lot higher. All right. There are circumstances where these do command a much higher premium than what we're seeing here. But you can see that all of these coins were furnished in these envelopes, and they were in a little call it a poly bag type affair that did not affect the coin or discolor them or tone them in any which way. They were all very inert, which is good. But these are very collectible. People buy these, they grade them, they hoard them. I mean, when we look at each individual release, they didn't make no more than about 300 to 400,000 of each, and that's all correlated depending on how many individual sets that they made and sold for that year. And then there was a time where they completely took out these 2019 W freebie. These were freebie Lincoln Cents, probably before the year turned over to 2020, because these products were being sold for 2 consecutive years or 24 months since their release. So once that calendar turned to 2020, I think they pulled back on the 2019 West Points. Even if you ordered the sets in 2020, you weren't guaranteed these freebie rarities, which pays for the mint or proof set, except maybe the silver set. Paid for the proof set, paid for the uncirculated set, just by itself, because these things right out of the gate were very popular. They were selling on eBay, I remember at the earliest form, for upwards of about $100 raw per coin. And that was the first few coins to drop, because for whatever reason, people did not order them from the mint, and they just preferred to get just the 2019 West Point coin direct on eBay and not have to worry about ordering the set. So I guess to each their own. Personally, I probably would have opted to buy the set because, you get more value there. Here's a few of the more recent sales within the last 24 hours. Graded examples of both the reverse proof and regular proof in Perfect 70 have been falling right around 150, which is a very good value. I would say that it's probably a little bit underpriced, but keep in mind that these things were produced at the highest kind of level of quality, that, there's going to be a lot more Proof 70s than our Proof 69s. The one outlier, obviously, is going to be that uncirculated. Mid-State 68 seems to be kind of like the normal grade for these. 69 is awesome. 70s are incredibly rare, and I believe they command right around $500 to $750 if it's not a first release or first day of issue. That's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind with the uncirculated is that they grade those also in PL, proof-like. So proof-like examples of the uncirculated coins will command 2, 3, 4x multipliers because of that. But they've made some pretty awesome holders, like this one here. I like this old vintage PCGS holder slab with a black and white Abraham Lincoln and then, his signature on there. That's a really cool touch at $45 for a Proof 69. So they've done some pretty cool stuff, both NGC and PCGS if you wanted a graded coin. You can see singular coins, if you bought them, are right around $40. Again, they do go up a lot more than that, depending on what's out there and who's selling it. You see, there's another one there for $50, so that one's $10 more than the previous two. But you can see just really, really great looking sales across all various grade levels and raw coins. This is one that, again, that in time these will appreciate in value to a whole other level, and you need to know this, because if you come across one of these at a coin show or a shop and it's sitting there staring you in the eyeballs and it just seems like really a good deal, maybe a dealer has them for $30, you might want to pick up a couple sets of those. And I'm just saying that, in today's market, they're kind of appropriately priced, but they have a lot of room to grow. I could see that one day, I would say like in 10 years, these things might even be worth $75 to $100 a piece. And that's due to, just overall supply being dwindled over time because collectors are coming in and they're buying these. All right, so that's the 2019 West Points in all three versions. The last final coin that I wanted to talk about that you guys need to know about is an issue that is very obscure and not a lot of people know about it. And that's the 2017 S Enhanced Uncirculated Lincoln Cents. These were produced for the 225th anniversary of the Philadelphia Mint, essentially. But they had produced these at the San Francisco Mint in its own set. So it came with the Lincoln cent, the nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar. It came with the Native American dollar at the time. All of the America the Beautiful quarters were also included in there as well. So this was the ultimate package. This one had more of a satin strike finish, but all of the letters and numbers have been polished like proof-like. Like this one here. Here's the reverse of the enhanced, provided by New Marshall in town. Marshall in town? I think I got that right. The one seller that actually had all the different finishes for 2017, there's a regular proof. There's a uncirculated. Here's all four coins that they produced, I guess. So there's a P&D uncirculated, the regular proof, and then an enhanced uncirculated is what they call it. So this one right here, they only made a couple 100,000 of these. Quite possibly the rarest coin out of every single one that we talked about, but it is the most easily accessible coin to buy into because it wasn't nearly as popular as the other two first releases. The 2009 100-year anniversaries and the 2019 West Points. So when we go and look at these, you can certainly buy the full set and it's going to run you about $30. That's probably the cheapest way to acquire all the coins, including the Lincoln cent. But if you bought the Lincoln cent individually, prepare to pay up to around $10 to $15. Where if you bought a full set for $30, this seems like hardly a good deal. If you could see, if we're kind of like doing basic math here, it would always be better to buy the set rather than one individual coin. You get more bang for the buck. But you could see that this is an incredibly affordable coin. What's crazy is people are willing to pay $15 for a raw example, but we'll look at, a perfect 70 graded PCGS coin for $20, and they would rather pay what is conceivably more money for a raw coin than to pay $20, only $5 more for a graded perfect 70. Kind of crazy. It doesn't make any sense sometimes, but it happens. This American Liberty slab label is really cool. I love this one. It's one of my favorite slab types, as you can see. This one is the first day of issue Denver ANA release. So this was actually released before these went on sale on the US Mint website. And these are limited production. They didn't make a whole lot of these. It's American Liberty, black and white slab label on there. But you can see just up and down, cheap. Just a very, very affordable coin if you're buying these today. And one personally, in my personal opinion, this one has probably the most room to grow, but that's if and only if people recognize the uniqueness of this particular finish. There's no other date where you could find this enhanced and circulated finish to it, where it's satin and kind of like a reverse proof, but not really. They just polished all the letters, and that's it. And it's a unique look all of its own. So this is the other one, the lowest mintage. I think it correlates to the anniversary, 225,000, I believe, is how many enhanced and circulated sets they made, which is nothing. That's not a lot at all. But you could see that this is a great coin to invest in. I could see, someone probably putting together a full roll of 50 of these and just sitting on them. And then, you never know, in 10, 20 years, something will happen where these are going to wake up. Again, if the Lincoln Cent goes away, people are going to look back and become nostalgic over coins like this. And then it's going to positively impact the values of these in the long run. So those were the kind of like top three rarities, Lincoln Cents over the last 25 years that people are really collecting into, pouring the most amount of money into. Again, these three coin types are very highly liquid in today's market. They're easy to sell. If you come across these in coin shops and shows and they're like way too cheap and you just have to get them, buy them, add them to your collection, or resell. All right, that's kind of the name of the game. And this is, my friends, a special edition of the Pocket Change Market Report featuring your boy Blue Ridge Silverhound. I'm your host, Sean. Thank you guys again for tuning in on this one. And I hope you guys end up finding some of your own treasure as you're out there over the weekend, over the next week or so. And I wish you guys nothing but the best. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe this video, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.